This is Holy Family School of Faith.
Hello and welcome to the table. My name is Mary Grace Straub, and I'm going to share some thoughts with you today on some things that we've been talking about in our team meetings. So we've been reflecting on the importance of cultivating a child's capacity for attention and the importance of that in Catholic education. It seems obvious that you would want students to pay attention, but I'm realizing from some of the things that we're reading that this capacity for attention actually is connected to the child's spiritual life. And so I'll share some thoughts on why that's the case. So first, just kind of a truth of the spiritual life, a principle, something that is true about God and us. God is moving in, I'll just frame it in the personal. God is moving in my life, and He wants me to be aware of how He's moving and what He's up to, what He's doing in my life. He is speaking to me personally and wants me to hear Him. And He is communicating His love for me in real, specific ways. And He wants me to be aware of these things and to receive these things so that I can experience His love for me in personal, specific, concrete ways. So that's true for all of us, even though a lot of us maybe haven't experienced that before, but it is true. So I'll share this next point in the negative first and then in the positive. God likely won't speak to me audibly in a way that I can hear Him with my ears. So if I don't learn to cultivate this attentiveness, this ability to notice things, subtle things, I might just miss all of those things that I just talked about, the ways that God's moving in my life, the things that He's saying to me that He wants me to hear, and the concrete ways that He's communicating His love for me that He wants me to experience. If I don't learn to pay attention, I'm going to miss all of those things, and what a shame. But if I do cultivate this capacity for noticing and for paying attention, I'm going to be much more aware. I'm going to see how God is moving in my life. I'm going to hear Him in my heart speaking to me personally, and I'm going to be open and receptive and ready to joyfully receive these different ways that God is communicating His love for me personally. And how wonderful is that? That's what we want, right? This real personal lived relationship with God, but it takes paying attention and noticing how He's operating and how He's speaking. So, for example, if I set aside some time for prayer and I decide to read from some spiritual reading book, I don't approach this time in the same way that I would if I was going to do a puzzle or solve some sort of problem. Instead, I approach first with trust that God is with me and really does want to speak to me. And then from there, I approach with openness and readiness to receive what God wants to give to me and what He wants to speak to me. So as I read, I give my attention to the text, yes, but also to what's happening within me. So I have to learn to notice what's going on within me as I read this text, because God moves in us. He's moving and He's speaking, and we have to learn how to pay attention to those things. So, specifically, what I want to give my attention to and what I want to notice as they come up are any thoughts, feelings, and desires that come up within me. So, there's a lot that could be said on that, but the point is to give our attention gently and to notice what's coming up within me as I read something. So, then there's this question, well, how do we cultivate this capacity for paying attention, for noticing things, especially when we're easily distracted, there's a lot going on. We might have a hard time slowing down, or we just want to get things done. We're a problem solver, and so we want to just tackle prayer or a relationship with God like it's something to, like, we have to figure it out and get something out of it ourselves or something like that. And even more so, this question: how do we cultivate this capacity in children? Well, it turns out, I'm learning from the things that we're reading, that their studies are an amazing avenue to cultivate this attentiveness. So by helping students to learn to give their attention to a subject or an assignment, even if it's hard and they're not particularly interested or they don't particularly like it, learning to give their attention to this subject, they're building this muscle, you could think of it like that, that they'll need to notice God moving in them and in their life. So in that light, the goal of an assignment is not so much to get it done and get all the answers right, but rather to be stretched and to increase this capacity for staying with something and giving one's attention to something, so that they can learn, they can increase this capacity for paying attention to God in their life, and for prayer especially, which is far more valuable than an A+. So those are some thoughts. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you can take something from it. Take care.